Welcome to Team Pilipinas. I'm Nissi, Icasiano. At the 2019 Southeast Asian Games, MMA veteran Mark Striegl was one of the many Filipino athletes who answered the call of duty to represent the country in the biennial meet. Today on Team Pilipinas, Striegl goes into detail about his opportunity to don the national colors in combat sambo. Mark, welcome to Team Pilipinas and glad to have you on the program today.
Happy to be here. Thank you, bro. Thanks for having me.
Mark, the 2019 SEA Games will forever be one of your career highlights on your resume. Can you walk us through the time you got recruited and made the tryouts for the national team?
Yeah, it was an exciting, super exciting time and accomplishment for me. Something I'll never forget, especially because it was hosted here in the Philippines. So I was recruited about 2 years before the SEA Games by Coach Jerry Legaspi. And at the time, you know, to be honest, I had no training in Sambo. I knew what Sambo was because I'm a fan of martial arts and I've been competing in MMA most of my life. But I wasn't familiar. I had no training in Sambo, no formal training in Sambo. So there was a bit of a learning curve for me. And, there are similarities to MMA. The main difference being that we're wearing the gi, right? The uniform. That's same as karate, same as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We're wearing a gi top and we're wearing shorts. So the uniform is a little different from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in that we're wearing shorts. Anyway, I had to train a lot of judo. Had to learn a lot of throw defenses, breaking and grip fighting, hand fighting, etc. Because, you know, for MMA, I'm used to no gi training. We're not wearing a uniform. We're not wearing a top. Anyway, a few months before the SEA Games, I had a competition in Korea, which I actually lost that. I didn't place, and it was kind of baptism by fire. It was my first Sambo competition overseas, representing the country, and I lost in Korea, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is 2 months before the SEA Games, and I got eliminated, and it was kind of a big wake-up call, and I realized that this is not, there are similarities to MMA, but it's much more point-based, and there are a lot of adjustments that I had to make. So after I didn't do well at that competition, I really, focused on what I needed to change to do well in the SEA Games. And it was kind of like not a crash course, but, all in, just every day training really, really hard, learning as much judo and just focusing purely on Sambo from that competition in Korea all the way up until the SEA Games. And the hard work, everything paid off because placed gold, won gold in the SEA Games, and it was definitely an amazing experience.
I know you as a wrestler even before you transitioned to MMA, but you could have tried out for the national wrestling team. Why did you choose Sambo?
I think just timing, Well, one, I had never been recruited by, I know that we have a great wrestling team. And, of course, if I could play in both and represent both, play in both sports for the Philippines, that would be amazing. If I could have wrestled and done Sambo in the SEA Games, that would have been awesome. But I think they were in different venues, and I don't know if the dates were overlapping, so maybe it wouldn't have been possible. But, just the timing with everything, Coach Jerry recruited me. He was already my training partner at Fist at the time, and then round one after that. And we were just training together regularly, and just the opportunity kind of appeared, and I was like, hey, why wouldn't I try to seize this opportunity where I can be join the Philippine National Team and represent the country, in the Philippines where we actually hosted. So it was amazing.
By looking at what you have achieved, you have the right to call yourself an accomplished mixed martial artist. But what made you decide to suit up for flag and country? Was it something that you dreamed of for the longest time?
Well, when I was growing up in Japan, I actually before I got into MMA, I was really focused on wrestling. I wanted to wrestle for the longest time, and I wanted to go to the Olympics for wrestling, actually, and represent the Philippines in the Olympics. Because even though I grew up in Japan, you know, Asia has always been my home. I went to the States for university, and then right after university, I came back to Asia. So, you know, I really wanted to wrestle for the Philippines, for the country, for the longest time, and it was kind of always a pipe dream of mine, but never really had the opportunity because things took off with MMA, and you know, you can't. I won't say you can't, but it's hard to juggle two different sports, you know, and two training schedules, even if they do complement each other. But you know, this opportunity with Sambo just suddenly popped up, and I was like, wow, I always represent the country when I fight in mixed martial arts, but this is to formally be a member of the Philippine National Team for Sambo. It's different. So it was an opportunity that I certainly had to jump on and take, and I'm glad I did, and it paid off. And I can't wait for more future competitions, and hopefully the next SEA Games in Vietnam, hopefully they include Sambo and can go for another gold medal.
Being a professional MMA fighter, in a way, it gives you that certain mental edge. The best way to describe Sambo is like the close cousin of MMA. But was there a point in training or in actual competition you realize that it's a different ballpark?
Yeah, well, I believe that, you know, I get the mental edge from MMA, but definitely from wrestling. You know, I started wrestling when I was 7 years old, and I have that grind mentality. I have that, you know, push through the pain mentality. So I do attribute a lot of my athletic success to my mentality as a wrestler, you know, which is carried on into MMA and into Sambo after that. But yeah, to answer your question on how they're kind of two different sports and how I had a wake up moment, it would probably be that moment probably would have been in the Korean competitions where I went against a Mongolian. So I compete in combat Sambo, okay? For those viewers that aren't familiar, combat Sambo is very close to mixed martial arts, but you could think of it as kind of a sport version of MMA, a point version, if you will. So you get points for takedowns, for throws. You do not get points. Here's one of the key differences. You do not get points for punches thrown. So the only way to finish a guy via punches is if you knock him out completely. So there are no points awarded for punches. Really, the points are awarded for the throws and for the takedowns and for time on top. And the only way to win the whole bout is if you knock out the guy clean, you submit him on the ground, or if you win by a majority decision with a lot of points. I think 6-0 lead in points. You have to win by 6, so 8-2, 6-0, etc. Anyway, what happened in Korea was I was going against this Mongolian, and we start on the feet just like MMA. We're striking. I throw a left cross. I rocked him. I saw his legs give out, and he shot for a takedown. I sprawled on the takedown. I went behind to take his back. I got in my hooks, and I'm pounding on the side of his head, looking for the finish. And then beep, the ref blows the whistle, and we stand up. And I'm confused, right? Because this is my first real Sambo competition. I'm like, why did you stop? I had great position. I had back control. I was going for the rear naked choke, you know, and I just rocked the guy, and now we're back up on the feet, and this guy has all this time to recover. And I look at the score, and it's still 0-0. So basically what happened is, as I said earlier, you can't score points for strikes, even though I did damage him, and I rocked him with a left cross. I didn't score any points for that. And for taking his back, I did not score any points for that. And the exchanges on the ground, just like wrestling, are very short, you know? So if there's no action on the ground, like a near finish, maybe you got, I don't know, like 10 seconds on the ground, 15 seconds. to make something happen, whether it's a submission or some kind of finish. And then right after that, those 10, 15 seconds, we got stood up on the feet again. I look at the score and it's 0-0, and I was kind of in disbelief, right? And then to make a long story short, anyway, he after that, he does 2 judo throws on me where they were clean throws, and I landed on my back and I scrambled up and continued fighting from my back, right? But since the throws are really highlighted and they're kind of, you know, as far as points go in Sambo, they're kind of in the scoring hierarchy, they're at the top, you know. So because of his 2 throws, I lost the match. I think I lost like 6-0. And I was just thinking to myself, like, what the heck? I had this guy rocked right at the start. I had his back. I was going for an RNC, and I was pounding him on the side of the head. And like, how did I lose this match, this fight? And yeah, after that, it was kind of a rude wake-up call. And I was like, okay, for the SEA Games, I got to make some adjustments. It is similar to MMA, but not really. It's more point-based. It's a sport version of mixed martial arts. And I got to focus on not getting thrown by these black belt judokas, you know.
And that's Mark Striegl. I'm Nissi Icasiano. Sumasaludo sa atletang Pilipino. Stay tuned for more sports news and features only here on Team Pilipinas.